I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
And this is
Soothsayer.
Soothsayer. What's the name of the band?
Well, that's what I thought this was, but let's just go with Zauta.
Zauta. Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying now.
See where I was...
So the band is the... Okay, we're just going to go with Zauta. For timely topical...
All the links in the description of this video if you want more information.
For timely topical political commentary,
band.
You can hit us up at Middle America with Vin and Sori. There are multiple ways to get your song reviewed. Now, if you, dear listener, are in a band that's like a local band, like our friend here, $300 gets you a review. So, Vin and Sori merch at Patreon. Vin and Sori merch at gmail.com on PayPal. We'll promote your band. We're gonna
Patreon also has a tier.
We're gonna do a blast, a social media blast before this one actually goes out. So you'll see it on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And there you go.
So this is new to all of us.
You can purchase a review, but you cannot purchase a rating. So be warned. We've had some unfortunate situations where we listen to songs and we were not able to give it a strong review because they didn't.
Unfortunately, we're Christians, so we don't lie. Ever.
They just didn't.
Matter of fact, we never said.
There was one guy though that was like, thank you, because he hadn't done the work on production. It was a terribly produced record. And we talked about it, and he said, okay, I'll do it again, blah, blah, blah. I'll be back better with the production.
Well, that's...
I told him, I said, yeah, we'll do it half price next time you get your production up so you can... So... We're going to do the best. It's a regular review. There's nothing else I could say. All right. Let's do it. Let's say Soothsayer. Let's do it.
All right. Here we go. Something new.
I got lyrics there. You're right. This is ominous. There. time. That cadence, the where he goes, go back to that real quick.
Here, I don't know. Here you go.
Where he says, "My memories haunt me in the night." That one.
That picture. The album cover goes good with it.
Yes, it does. With that fuzz, I hit it perfect. I always guess those right.
Sometimes I'm like, can you just find this part in the video? Because he's just going to get lucky.
As I cry, and it's not. It had this kind of like abstract, sort of disembodied spirit type of feel to it, the vocals.
Yeah, oh, it did. I agree.
The guitars were extremely reserved. You know, it had that like fuzzy sound, like I'm clicking on the site right now, he's got that Gibson.
I think that this guy on their site, Steve Roger, it says, go back to the site.
Which one? This guy, the guy that left the review?
This grabbed me right away with its thick strings dipped in honey fuzz, and the vocals work really well. I thought that was actually a really good way of describing it.
The guitar sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had that fuzz. I don't like using that fuzz setting at all. I've never liked that on guitar. It worked for this band.
Oh, yeah.
But this is one of those things where, like, for me, like, when I'm writing, like, I'm like, oh, man, this is not going to be heavy or whatever. But, like, there was a sort of, like, in the song, da-da-da, I get by, dun-dun-dun. Like, you just look at the guitar. But he wasn't trying to be, like, heavy. He was just trying to use that fuzz sound to kind of create
some strangeness to it.
Yeah, it's more atmospheric. Like,
yeah.
This is not one of those, like, guitar tracks like, oh my god, you're blown away. But it just creates a very spooky... Like, this song could be in a one of those independent, like, thriller movies. Or horror movies. Like, I could definitely see that on because it just sounded like a disembodied spirit was talking. It was
I actually didn't think of it that way.
Uncomfortable.
But it reminded me of, I don't know if you remember this lady, but we were talking to her, I'm pretty sure you were there with me, and she was saying that across the street was a church, and for some reason the side of the church had like gargoyles on them. Is that like typical of Catholic churches?
I think so, yeah, European.
Weird.
They were like protecting the things.
Okay, well, so there was like these gargoyles, and she was saying like that the government was watching her through the eyes of the gargoyles. And
oh yeah.
When I talk to somebody that's like super paranoid about the government, is completely convinced the government is after them, I'm not saying the government doesn't watch people. I just think that there are some people that the government has no interest in watching.
Yeah.
You know? And so, I didn't feel like she was in any danger of being watched, certainly not through the gargoyles. Like, I don't think that they would do this big op to get cameras in there to watch. It just, you know, but it didn't matter because that's how she felt. And I felt like this sort of claustrophobic
energy
within myself at the thought of being that paranoid and not being, it's inescapable. If you're feeling that way and you're convinced of it, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Like, you probably should get on some meds that way you can kind of get...
We're being watched, but no one knows.
But yeah, and this one, it wasn't the government. It sounded like it was like aliens or something.
Yeah, strange being, they want our souls, our futures fading in the death knell.
Vin goes through these phases where he watches different things. And it might be like Jehovah's Witnesses or like the craziness that happens in Scientology or, you know, like all these different things. Like he'll just go through
Shout out to the homie.
Yeah, different phases. Right now you're into the Indian stuff.
The Hindu stuff, yeah.
Well, Hindu, yeah.
Krishna.
Yeah.
Haribol!
He's all into that. But you went through a phase where one of the most interesting... Scientology was a very interesting phase. I was very fascinated by that information.
Yeah. I was out of that phase very quickly, though.
Why?
They just wasn't enough to... Like, Hinduism has so many different gods and different ways of looking at things.
Yeah, he's very interested in the facts. To me, I just want to hear about how did you get traumatized? So anyway, he went through this phase.
I actually have Dianetics. I've read Dianetics.
Really?
That's this. Yeah. And I was talking to a Scientologist, actually, for a while.
Yeah.
On the phone. And she basically was like, yeah, I'll walk you through the book. And you know how So I started reading the book, and Shorty was like, what's wrong with you? I told you that blah, blah. I'm like, yo, whoa.
Oh, really? You didn't tell me that?
Yeah, I'm like, whoa.
I thought like the last I knew,
Well enough.
she was basically saying like, if you pay us this money, then you'll be able to have access to me being able to teach.
Well, yeah. She was like, oh, doing these studies or whatever, because she was from California, whatever. And I was like, she was like, I was like, yeah, I'll buy the book, you know, I you know, because I read, you know, whatever. And she was really excited about that. And then, like, I started asking her a question, because she's like, I'm here, whatever. So I asked her a question. She's like, this means you're into chapter 3, and did you read, basically, she said, like, you read this without my permission?
Without my brain?
Whoa here, Bessie, just chill out for a little bit. But shout out to the homie. That was the end of my conversation with her, though.
You never informed me of that.
Yeah. Well,
wild.
They were off my list at that point. That was the end of it.
Yep. Okay.
I could have been I could have been one of your. I could have been bigger than Tom Cruise.
Oh my gosh.
We're gonna clean this place up. So there you go.
But anyway, you went through a phase where you were watching all of those, like alien encounters.
Yeah.
I don't really know what I think about that. I never even thought aliens could be a possibility. And then I remember one time I was talking to you and I was like, oh, so-and-so believes in aliens. And you were like, you looked at me like, I was like, yo, does he believe in aliens? Because I find you to be a very rational thinking individual. And then you were like, so you really think that it's possible that, like, in all the universe, like, we're literally the only ones? And then you brought up, like, these different sightings and stuff like that. And I was like, well,
I mean, your buddy Colin.
I consider it now.
Your buddy Colin Cowherd has he just watched, I think it was Phenomenon or something. It was some documentary about UFOs. He goes, oh yeah, there's definitely something out there. I reported on this in Middle America. I don't think we ever published a report, but as recently as July of this year, the Pentagon, and this is probably one of Trump's greatest accomplishments, is the
setting up Space Force.
Well, yeah, that's one. And
but it sounds really funny if you don't believe it at all.
Well, yeah. Look, the Space Force thing got bipartisan support. So
what does that mean? What?
That means both sides.
Everybody was supporting it?
Democrats and Republicans supported the Space Force. So, you know, it wasn't one of those things where Trump had this crazy idea and only Republicans supported it and pushed it through. That's not what happened. So people who are doing that in the public are just they're completely disingenuous if they know what they're talking about. But be that as it may, I mean, the Pentagon has admitted that they mentioned it says right here, UFO unit in the spotlight report mentions off-world vehicles not made on this Earth.
I hear what you're saying, but it's something hard to believe if you don't believe it.
Well, this is one of the things about belief or unbelief.
Anyway, how's it going to hover above a flat Earth?
This is mainstream.
Okay, I'm teasing on that one, but seriously.
This is mainstream media.
I know, but I always feel like it's like a trick. Like, it's not from another planet. It's actually another branch of our government that we don't all know about.
I mean, sure. But the fact of the matter is there are these objects that are flying, defying the laws of physics to a degree.
Yeah, and we don't know what Russia's doing or what other places.
Yes, we do. We do know what Russia's doing.
We know everything that they're doing. You think they're showing you all their cards?
Look, these type of things are extremely expensive, and Russia doesn't have the capital to even... Look, if the Pentagon says it's off this world, and it's not made on this Earth, then you can bet that that's what's happening.
Have they ever lied to the American people?
Because here's what would happen, right? Here's what would happen. Let's say I built a stealth bomber or something like this. Stealth bomber was thought of as a UFO until, that's a stealth bomber, right? If I'm in a position like Russia or China, and the Pentagon issues this report, it says that this is not made of this Earth, right? Mm-hmm. But I did make that. You know what I would do? We would leak a report that no, this is actually a Chinese vessel. Because now, psychologically, you now have the upper hand because Big Bad America said this is such an advanced object that it wasn't made on the Earth, and then you come along and say, no, we made it, it's ours. So you let that leak, And then when people go, hey, is it true that this unidentified flying object is yours? As the official spokesman of China or Russia, you'd say, I would not confirm or deny.
Yeah,
and you
I
let
can kind of see what you're saying, but at the same time...
there's no way that this is Russia and China.
If you're ridiculously more strong than somebody else, you don't need to brag about it. Like, if they had this...
Yes, you do.
Why?
If you're talking about international politics, you absolutely need to.
No, not if you are getting the inside scoop on other people because you have your thing. And then, I disagree with you.
That's the entire point of the Cold War.
I disagree with you.
That was what we did in the Cold War. It was a bunch of the pissing contest between America and Russia, and us saying we have the power.
That's
them
right.
saying they have the
and
power.
I'm saying that's not. We're saying when we're seeing this up in the sky, we're saying this is like out of this world. It's so advanced. So
you said
Russia it was a pissing contest before. I'm saying it's not. If somebody has that level of technology, it's not a pissing contest. They're obviously stronger. So if you have that technology, why would you need to put that out there? You just keep using your technology to your advantage. Why would you even bring attention to it? Let them think it's UFOs or something outside.
They brought attention to it by flying within the radius of another pilot.
Yeah, but perhaps they didn't know that was going to happen. Maybe there was some fault. There was a glitch.
So they have this super advanced thing, and the person running the controls, it was just completely glitched.
Because computers never glitch.
That doesn't make
Why? How are you laughing at that?
I just think you're being contrary.
We have these
because you think this is good TV. You can't
years
mean
ago.
That.
No, I do mean that. Years ago, if somebody would have seen what a computer could do,
Russians,
and you said, "Well, that computer could fail," somebody could laugh and say,
"What have the Russians?
Advanced technology
what have the Russians?
Fail? And we see these computers fail all the time.
What have the Russians and the Chinese done in the
They're
last
made by people.
60 years that demonstrates to you that they would sit on that and not brag about it?
Nobody has come out with something that is ridiculously better than somebody else's. And it's like, basically, no. It's basically like having a spy and then telling everybody, I have a spy.
No.
Yes, it is. Because if you have this special technology that allows you to, like, look into the stuff, why would you draw attention to that?
Well, again, sweetheart, they flew within the
I told you, maybe they didn't know that was going to come up on the radars.
All right. I think particularly the Russians and the Chinese have demonstrated that if they have anything even remotely close to ours, they go to make a show and say they have it. Especially the Russians during the Cold War.
Okay, so your thoughts on this is that there's some beings on another planet that are inside of this craft, and they're not aware that we're going to be able to see them, or they want us to see them.
This is not my opinion. This is the Pentagon. Right, the Pentagon called it an off-world vehicle not made on this Earth. So that's not my opinion. That's what they're saying. So
I'm still asking you what your thought is on that.
My thought is I agree. I mean, they finally came out and said it, so now it can be talked about.
So these other beings on purpose got on our radar, or didn't know?
Well, they've been. If you look at the testimonies, if you look at the testimonies of people, this is not new behavior. People have always said that there are things like this in the sky. It's just that people were mocked for it. But now you've got the Pentagon saying it. I mean.
Yeah, I mean.
Wow, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Because you could be completely wrong. I'm always right, so. There's no danger.
Well, again, this is not a me and you issue, right? This is the Pentagon. So you're saying...
Yeah, I know the Pentagon, but like the government's never lied to us before.
Well, yeah. What gain does the government have for lying about this?
Well, our government?
How does this help them?
Well, maybe this goes to say that there is somebody else that has that technology and we just don't know it. So maybe they're telling the truth.
Well, why would we do that?
Listen, I'm just saying I'm open to both.
Like
you're obviously closed and it's definitely aliens to you.
I didn't say it was aliens. Neither did the report. The report simply says it's an off-world vehicle not made on the planet. That's all it says.
What does aliens mean?
Alien, you're talking about little green men and things like that.
No. We're talking about something from some other place that's a being. Alien doesn't necessarily mean green being. Yeah,
well, it does mean that whatever this device is. But here's my point. My point is, and this is actually an interesting discussion, right? Because let's say that there were actually, like, if you look at the lyrics to this song, I had no idea this video was going to go in this direction. But look at the song. We're being watched, no one knows, creatures from other planes, nobody's alone. These strange beings, they want our souls. So let's say that he's right? And there was objective, definitive proof that he was right. 90% of people in this country would still say that this guy's crazy and a psychopath and schizophrenic because they don't want to believe that such a thing is possible. And this is one of the things that really fascinates me about belief and unbelief, because like I'm coming to the conclusion that what we believe or don't believe is more volitional than cognition. In other words, we believe what we want to believe true, not what is actually true. And we disbelieve what is true and not, because now you would figure, people were saying, well, we need to not talk about these things because it's going to induce mass hysteria, not realizing that that's not how the human mind works. When the human mind gets confronted with something that's so transcendently terrifying, they'll just say they don't believe it.
True.
So now the Pentagon is publishing this thing, and and what's more important for people? I mean, this is Tucker Carlson said this like on his show, and he's prime time.
He's a freaking liar. Why are you even bringing him into it?
Well, my point is, his constituency don't view him as a liar, and he has the most popular show in that time slot. So his constituency believes that he's telling the gospel truth. So he comes out and breaks a story like this. Where's the mass hysteria? There was none. People were like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And then they went right back to Trump versus Biden or whatever. Like, that's how the human mind operates in mass. You very rarely are going to get, I mean, even look at, and this has been a running debate with certain alphabet groups, like if you look at like the response to Corona, it's killed close to 300, I don't know what the body count is with Corona right now. It's close to 300,000 people. But you don't see this mass hysteria. Actually, you see the opposite. People saying, oh, it's a hoax,
not a big
blah, blah,
deal.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
Right. So, like, what people believe and why they believe it, people are very naive. People think, oh, I only believe something based on evidence. No, it's not. That's not the only factor that goes into what you believe or don't believe. No, it's not. Because if that was true, people only had belief systems based on evidence, then everybody would be in absolute terror right now because of the implications of what the Pentagon released. I mean, this video came out, the pilot who took the video was on the Rogan show, and the pilot on the Rogan show was interesting because he used to talk about the games they used to play with people to get them to call about UFOs, because they had these lights or whatever, and they'd fly low and then they'd shoot up high or whatever, and he'd be like, sure enough, and he would talk about like
that's funny.
He was on there for about 2.5 hours, and he was like, this thing, he's like, look, man, he's like, I got nothing. He's on the Rogan show, Tucker Carlson's talking about it. Where's the mass hysteria? There is none. Because people are looking at it and they're going, that's interesting, but they won't let their minds go.
Well, it would be really scary because you don't know what they want or what they're capable of or what they could do to us. And we have so many movies that we've seen where they just kind of like suck you up and take you away.
And testimonials of people who have had those experiences. I mean, most people...
and they always have weird things happen to them.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because I was around a group of people and every single one of them saw something. With this group of people, every single one of them did, without exception, saw something. So,
I feel like you have some weird story you've never told me.
So do what you will with that, but that line is very, very interesting. It's an extremely interesting line. That little paragraph.
Well, an interesting song nonetheless. And it brings about some interesting conversation. If I was to do a short
movie on aliens or whatever, whatever you want to call them, this would be on the soundtrack.
For sure, yeah.
Patrol.
I wish that the vocals were a little bit clearer, though.
Yeah. Anytime you do that, it's production. That's one of the reasons our song has taken so long to come out. Aside from the fact that Jay won't finish his guitar parts. Is I want to make sure the production is like on point, and that's gonna cost. So there you go.
Yeah, for me, it's gonna be like a 6. I liked the fuzzy sound. I liked, kind of But some of the, for me, lyrically, it was a little too rhymey.
See, the artwork here reminds me of...
The artwork is awesome.
Of the Scream on a Starry Night, the Van Gogh thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because look at it. It's kind of similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that was on...
Yeah, so
I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's a famous...
I've only ever seen the sky.
This guy is a famous character in Van Gogh's paintings, a horrified guy. So, I don't know necessarily what genre this is, but when I heard the song, like, okay, this is some sort of genre, I don't know what it is, so I judge it from that perspective. I don't know, this song rates pretty high for me. It's a 9.3 for me because I felt like it accomplished what it was trying to accomplish based on the genre and the whole attitude of the song itself. It was very effective, and it produced I didn't think that we were going to have this conversation, but it produced a conversation, so there you go. But you can see Sori's denial because she's so scared of aliens that she's just...
No, if an
somehow
alien showed
the
up,
Russians
he'd protect me.
The Russians who are still outfitting their military with Kalashnikovs, they're going to have...
I don't know if it's them, could be China.
Whatever.
China's the one that inflicted us.
China's in the same...
Do you know my
they've got
old...
tanks,
Hey.
they've got tanks from the 80s,
My old pastor...
Yeah.
He has COVID, and so does his daughter. They had to shut down church for 6 weeks.
Why? It's a hoax.
But you know, they never told the congregation, apparently. They just shut down church. I think that's a little bit weird, but... Okay, anyway, that's them.
That, again, proves my point.
All right, well, there you
are, dear listener. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.
Don't forget, links are in the description if you want to check out more of his stuff.